because I wasn't recording when I said all that stuff before about quarantine. If you are quarantined and you are not sick, you must keep up with all the assignments just like you were in class. If you do start feeling ill, and I'm saying this again for the people at home, you do need to let your teachers know if you're feeling sick, because then that's a different category. But if you're just quarantining, you're required to keep up. Make sure that you complete all assignments by the due dates, just like you would in class. And same for tests and all those other things. All right, so chapter 5, we're going to take just a second and make sure that we look at what's really, I think, may be different or might cause you to think about the fact that we don't talk about religion in school. You're not supposed to do that. In a history class, that obviously is not the case. The title of chapter 5 is Rome and the Rise of Christianity. And what we look at, historically speaking, is the significance of this new movement that will begin in Rome with the death of Jesus, called Christianity. In a history class, and for those of you that are people of faith and you attend places of worship regularly, it might feel weird to talk about Jesus in a setting that's not there, but he was a real person, lived, did all of the many things that perhaps you have read about in the New Testament. What we obviously don't talk about are the issues that Jesus did that brought him to the attention of the Jews and other people who were seeking out a different type of faith. We stick with particularly facts. And for our purposes in world history, the real importance of Jesus doesn't occur until the death, because we really don't have this thing called Christianity until there is a death of Jesus. And we more particularly deal with the apostles that spread this thing called Christianity after the death of Jesus. I try to be very mindful of everyone's different feelings and belief systems. I've taught this for a really long period of time, and I feel honestly like I do a really good job of teaching it as it is meant to be in the context of history. But if I do make you feel uncomfortable, if you have questions, I hope at this point in our course you feel free to ask me. I don't ever know why people are still scared of me. I don't know. I give off that scary vibe. I'm not sure. You can ask me in class, email me. We could talk outside, but I've taught this unit for a really long time, and I try to do it as respectfully as I can to people of every spectrum, believers, non-believers, people in the middle. So, but I do always want to forewarn you about that. It's we'll get to it till section 5. Okay. All right. So Rome, we always start, as we have with every civilization that we've studied, the geography. And this, again, the geography of Italy would be where we'll find Rome. And Rome is built on 7 hills, which makes it a good place to defend. It becomes a really easy place to build this civilization that's going to become Rome. It's by a river called the Tiber River. That river is going to lead out to the sea, which is, again, a very nice place to build a city. You can, and Rome will during different times, very simply put a big old giant chain across the Tiber River, so no one from the Mediterranean Sea can get in. They also use it to protect from anyone getting out. That Italian peninsula juts out into the Mediterranean. It's going to be these crossroads. There'll be many times in the history of Italy where they're going to be like the truck stop of the Mediterranean. When we come back in January and we get to the Crusades, when people are moving into the Holy Land for Crusades, that's where they're going to stop. In the Italian peninsula. They're going to stop there before they go, fuel up, sharpen their sword, get their chainmail all fixed, get their horses settled, head to the Holy Land. And then on their way back, just like any of you that have parents that traveled, your expectation is when they come home that they bought you something somewhere. So all these crusaders are going to stop in Italy. They're going to load up on jewels, carpets, silks, and then bring them home. So that peninsula and that jetting out in the Mediterranean Sea is significant also in that way for Rome. The early people, the Etruscans, they will be the founders of Rome, and they're going to last until 509 BCE, when Romans will overthrow the last king. Not questions about that. The shortest little slide you're going to see today, just because we need to know how these Romans get here. We're going to start with really simple, the very beginning. Why Rome is successful. And Rome is going to be really different from many of our other civilizations that we looked at. Number one, because it's going to be giant size. It will be huge. When we finish Rome, it will be the largest. When we're talking about large civilizations in the history of the world, the largest is the British Empire. Second will be Rome. And the fact that Rome does this so early in the course of world history is pretty important. Rome is successful because of duty, courage, and discipline. And those three characteristics will be, again, what makes Rome very successful. Discipline in the sense that when the Roman army fails, the discipline that will be handed out will be something very random. Line up your troops, and every 10th one of you is going to take a beating. At no point is everybody counting off like I would be saying, okay, am I 10? Let me scoot over. Everybody stands. Every 10th person steps forward, takes the beating. That's discipline, and that's duty. They're good diplomats. Romans allow citizenship and allow their states to run their own affairs. They're going to have an awesome military. The Roman legions will be some of the greatest military squadrons, battalions in the world, and they're very practical. Rome will be mainly really successful because they will take what happened, what was the best in all the other empires up to that point, and combine it into one. Rome will look to other civilizations and pick and choose what was good, what was bad, what they needed to fix, and run in that way. And at the bottom of that page, practical, a government that does things practically always will be very successful. They're going to respond to problems in a practical nature. What's the best way to fix that? What's the best interest of the people living in that area? And it always, again, will turn out well for the people in that civilization. Rome is going to be a lot like Greece, right? We're going to have Roman citizens, and then we're going to conquer people who are not Roman. And those non-Romans are going to have a whole different set of laws that they have to live by. The only reason that we really discuss this is that we've spent a lot of time talking about laws like Hammurabi's Code, why you write down laws. Rome will be the first group of people that have laws for two different groups. So if you are Roman, you follow the 12 tables. That's for Roman citizens. If you are not a Roman, you will follow the laws of nations, and those will be the conquered people. And the reason they're different is, for instance, under the law of nations, there is a law that says natural law of God intended, and when we say God at this point, I should have added S to this because this is Roman gods, intended Rome to live under, which allowed them to conquer the world. So you're telling the law of nations, all the people that you're conquering, the reason you're being conquered is because the gods said so. That this is what the gods ordained, that we were going to conquer all you people that are not Romans. One that should, especially if you've ever watched a cop show or a court show, innocent until proven guilty. And that last one, again, really important, people allowed to defend themselves before a judge. These things are going to be wiped away. And when we re-emerge in the Middle Ages, these things are going to look quite different. If you were accused of a crime in Great Britain in the Middle Ages in the 1200s, you were guilty and you had to prove that you were innocent. If you were brought before the bar and you sometimes weren't allowed to speak, we will have in the Middle Ages every town, village, province will have what's called a hangman. That's the executioner. And the job of the executioner was to make you confess to crimes, because you couldn't be killed unless you confessed. And how does the executioner make you confess? He kind of tortures you until you confess. And that's the way that worked. So we're going to lose all of these things, like with Hammurabi's Code, innocent until proven guilty. We're going to lose that all in the Middle Ages and come up with a very different set of laws. Here's 12 tables. We have procedures for courts, trials, debt, rights of fathers. And again, those rights of fathers are going to be really, really dictatorial, capital punishment. I can kill you. I can sell you to slaves. They're very, very oppressive rights that fathers have, not only over their children, but also over wives. Guardianships, acquisitions, land rights, torts. Torts are laws of injury. Those are what, if you watch a lot of TV, those slip and falls, like suing people. Public law, sacred law, that's the laws of the Roman gods. And then those last two are things like, we haven't thought of everything, so we're just going to throw those in to make sure we get everything included in those laws. So Rome is a land of laws. Rome is also very much like Greece, a distinction between who is Roman and who is not. So some of these laws that we can't get by: a dreadfully deformed child shall be killed. Again, when we use those vague words like a dreadfully deformed, what does that mean? If it is for a mom, I can't imagine that a mom thinks any of their children are dreadfully deformed. But if it's in the eyes of the Roman law, again, dealt with very harshly. I put this one in here because pretty much our whole entire high school would be dead, except maybe some really, really nice people that I don't know about. If a person has sung or composed against another a song, such as was causing slander or insult, he shall be clubbed to death. So in essence, if you make up a rumor about somebody or you spread a rumor about somebody, you're going to die. Again, for sure wouldn't have many people walk in the hallways if that was the case. And then the last one, I would make sure that you put a box around that one, even though I don't have you write anything, and make sure that you understand the significance that this is saying. Marriage shall not take place between a patrician and a plebeian. Now, you don't know what a patrician and a plebeian is yet. A patrician is an upper class person. A plebeian is a lower class person. So the Roman government is saying, I do not want these two classes to mix. If you're rich, you marry rich people. If you're poor, you marry poor people. You are not allowed to do that. And when a government makes critical decisions about your personal life, like who you can and cannot marry, you can see that this is an empire and a civilization that wants and maintains control. So, a Roman state. Early Rome is divided into two groups, and this is the groups that we look at: patricians. So when we look at our social structure, remember all of our social structures? When we started, we had like 5 or 6 things. We had priests and priestesses, nobles, artisans, slaves, farmers. In the Roman state, it's 2. You're a patrician or you're a plebeian. Anybody know what West Point calls their freshman class when they get there? They're called plebes. You were? I spoke too soon, didn't I, Jonathan? They actually don't call them plebeians. They call them plebes. And again, that's a distinction of being the low person. So plebeians are small landowners, farmers, craft people, merchants. All of these people are citizens. So even though we make a distinction between patricians and plebeians, everybody is a citizen. Everybody could vote, but only patricians could be elected. So it's a sense of democracy in that as a plebeian, I can vote, but I'm never going to have representation. So nothing ever will change for plebeians because the people making the rules are the patricians. Does that make sense? It's one of the reasons that I'm going to start talking to you when you're a freshman in high school in my history classes, even though we're not even close to anything about democracy, that if you don't have representation, you will not change anything about your life. So if you don't start voting in young people when you guys are young and you start voting, the minimum age for someone to serve in the House of Representatives is 25. Do you know how many 25-year-olds there are representing? None. Why? Because people like me vote. 57-year-old people. No, I don't want no 25-year-old rep. The reason why there isn't is because people between the years 18 and 30 don't vote. So these are the same things that are happened to plebeians. Only patricians can be elected. So nothing is ever going to change for those small landowner farmers. They're never going to get any help. Craftsmen, merchants, never going to change. And that's really important to understand. That's what keeps people in a place, and they will not be able to get out of that place. All right. This will be where we're supposed to end. And those of you that haven't already looked up the answer, you can finish your bell questions today. And we're looking at the Punic Wars. Punic is the Russian word for Phoenician. And I would write that somewhere, even if you don't know how to spell that. This is a war with the Phoenicians. So we have the first Punic Wars. We're going to have 3. The first one, Rome sends an army into Sicily. And those of you that can have a mental map, Sicily is the little island that the boot of Italy is kicking. So Rome sends their army into Sicily. Rome builds this big giant navy, and Rome goes into Carthage. That's where the Phoenicians are at, and defeats Carthage. The Phoenicians at this time are a really large, powerful trading empire. They're the ones that trade all around the Mediterranean. And in that, the first Punic Wars, Rome gets Sicily. They win that little island and it becomes theirs. In the second Punic War, Hannibal, who is the leader of the Phoenicians, wants revenge. He is embarrassed. He's embarrassed that this little teeny upstart place defeated his powerful empire. So he has this plan with elephants. And he takes the elephants, he lands on the Iberian Peninsula, which is Portugal and Spain. He marches those elephants up around top of Spain through the Alps, and he starts attacking Rome from the north. What?
That takes some skill right
there. It does. And let me just say, I'll go back to West Point. Any of you ambitious people hoping to attend West Point, one of the important generals that you will study in your war studies class will be Hannibal. I still have my Hannibal book here. Yep. Hannibal and his elephants. Anybody want to read it? It's a really awesome book. This bookcase used to turn this way, and I can't tell you how many people would see Hannibal and want to read this book because they thought it was about the man that ate people, Hannibal. But this is not that Hannibal. It's the real Hannibal. So, Rome is surprised. He takes Hannibal surprises Rome, takes a few cities. This is what makes Rome the powerful empire that's going to be. Instead of turning to the north and fighting Hannibal, they're much more clever. They say, Hannibal's not in Carthage. He's far away. This is our chance to destroy Carthage again. And so Rome is going to attack Carthage. And so now, instead of Hannibal being able to continue to move down the peninsula, Hannibal has to go back to Carthage. Ends that war, Second Punic War. This time, Rome gets Spain. So now Rome has Sicily, Rome has Spain. Our third and final Punic War. Now there's a large amount of time between the Second Punic War and the Third Punic War. And in the Roman Senate, every time there's a speech or anytime someone gives a speech, the speech begins with death to Carthage. Even though they've defeated them twice, Rome still wants revenge and continues every time any kind of toast in parties, death to Carthage, death to Carthage. They want to really destroy Carthage. And so that's what they do. For one final time, Rome is going to destroy Carthage. They're going to attack. They're going to annihilate. They're going to kill everyone. They're going to spread salt on the land. They're going to poison the water, completely eliminate Carthage. And at that point, Carthage becomes a Roman territory known as Africa. So the name Africa comes from the Romans, and they're going to take, at this time, obviously, they don't know the entire continent of Africa, but they're going to take, thank you, Lexi, they're going to take the northern part of Africa, and it becomes part of Rome. So as a result of these 3 Punic Wars, Rome gets the territory of Sicily. They get all of the Iberian Peninsula, which has Spain and Portugal, and then they're going to get the entire northern top of Africa and take over that Mediterranean Ocean and control that Mediterranean Sea. So, all right, so now you can answer that Bell question if you didn't already look it up. Make sure you submit your Bell questions. On Monday, we'll look at our Punic War chart. I didn't want to give that to you. I might put it on there later today for those of you that want to get started on it. Any questions about Punic Wars, Carthage, any of those things? All right.